Alright, what's up virtual learners? I'm back working on some more numeracy videos. Today I'm going to focus on 1 more and less and 10 more and less than a number, which is a 2nd grade standard in Virginia. I do have a game in school that I play with students called Start Change Result with this, but I'm trying to modify it slightly and show how you could do this game with materials that you might have at home, since I know many of us are learning at home. So a couple of options. You can use any digit cards that you want. I used a deck of playing cards that I had around my house, and I removed most of the face cards. And so the cards in my stacks have digits. The only digits that are not in a normal playing card deck are zeros, and zeros are huge in math, so I did take my queens, and I'm going to count my queens as zeros, and I think as I'm modeling I even wrote 0 on top of some of the queens, and there are some 10s in there, and I kept the 10s in there because you'll see how that kind of works out pretty cool. For this game, students are going to have to, in the version I'm playing today, flip a card. The card's either going to say 1 less, 1 more, 10 less, or 10 more. When I play this game in a school setting, I usually write 1, 10 more, and less on a cube that's not this big. This is just what I brought home from school. But if you have a small wooden cube at your house or something that you can label, I usually label one side as 1 more, one side as 1 less. And since students usually need more support with the 10 more, 10 less, I do 2 10 lesses and 2 10 mores. Just so you can see, that's another way that you could make this a game. And the third way that you could make it a game is, instead of doing flip cards or a die that you roll, if you make a spinner and you use a paper clip, which this is not the best version of a paper clip, but if you have a larger one, kids can flick it and spin it. Let me see if I can show how that might work. I'm doing all this on my phone. Well, anyways, you might have to help them hold that pencil in, but you would have them flick, and then whatever it lands on is how they would change their number. So those are some different options how you can make this work. I'm just going to go ahead and flip the cards since I am modeling it one-handed and recording with my other hand on my phone. So this is how you would play the game. Let's get a start number. You can start this with 2 stacks of cards for 2-digit numbers, or you can start it with 3 stacks of cards for 3-digit numbers. I'm going to start with 3. Of course, you can always take it back to 2. So let's see what my start number is going to be. I have the digits 4, 3, and 6, so I'm going to write that. And that's going to get me my start number, and that's actually going to be 436. And what I'm actually drawing here, I'll build for you so you can see, or you can show students what I actually just built. When I'm building 436, I'm drawing a representation of base 10 blocks that many students use in their classrooms. So these blocks represent hundreds when we're doing 3-digit numbers, because there's 100 units in it. And so 400s would be 4 flat. Oh, look at that. I didn't do enough hundreds. 4 flats for 400. And then 3 in the tens place means 3 groups of 10. So 430. And then 6 in the ones place would be 6 ones. Might have to grab a couple more from my bin back here. 5, 6. So if you were in the classroom, students would probably be building these numbers concretely. There are also great virtual manipulatives online. I love the base 10 blocks from Glencoe virtual manipulatives, but there's a ton of them out there that you could use instead of actual base 10 blocks if you don't have those handy. I know there's printable base 10 blocks that you can use and cut out as a parent, but also if your students are already familiar with base 10 blocks and they're comfortable doing a drawing representation, then that's also fine. Okay, so now that I have 436, I need to figure out how I'm going to change that number. So I'm just going to pull a card, and it says that I want 1 less. So if I do 1 less, that means I need to take 1 off. That's going to change my digit in the ones place, and I can show that on my model. I'll do this too, one less. Take off 1. And so now my result would be 435, because 5 is 1 less than 6. Ooh. I'm going to squeeze this up here, guys. 436, there we go. Okay. All right, let's try another one. Okay. You can put these cards in a bag if you want to have kids pull it out. Whatever it takes for kids to think it's fun, because we want learning to be fun, right? So now I'm going to flip again. I have 2 hundreds, 9 tens, and 5 ones. And I can build that with my base 10 blocks. 2 hundreds, 9 tens. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 tens. Let me make sure that's 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Nope. 9 tens and 5 ones. I already got my 5 ones there. All right, let's see how I am about to change this. Looks like I got 10 more than this. All right. Ooh, this is going to be a fun one. I may or may not have strategically set up these numbers to show some great learning opportunities. Okay, so if I'm at 295 and I spin or pull or roll a 10 more, now I need to think, what is 10 more than 295? Whenever you have a 9 in the tens place and you have to do 10 more, that's going to be more challenging for students because they're going to be able to make a new group. So let's see what's kind of happening. I'm going to draw what I built over here, 2 hundreds, 9 tens, and 5 ones. 2 hundreds, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 tens, and then 5 ones. And when I add a 10 to that, that brings me up to 10 tens, and 10 groups of 10 is actually going to make a new group of 100. So now I can take these 10 tens and I can think of them as 100. How I can show that with my picture would be I'm adding another 10 and I can box these 10 tens to show that that's also 100. So now let me see what I have. I have 100, 200, and a new 100, which would be 300. And then I still have 5, so that would be 300s. No leftover 10s, and then 5 ones. So 10 more than 295 is 305. And that makes sense because in 295 I have 29 tens, and one more 10 would be 30 tens. And then that digit in the ones place remains a 5 because I didn't touch my ones. All right, let's do another example. 600s. There's my 0, 10s, and my 9 ones. So I'm going to show you, remember I'm showing you kind of the trickier ones so that you know what to do when your students are practicing this, how to help them when they get to some of these tricky ones. So if I have 600s, 0 10s, and 9 ones, 600s, 0 10s, and 9 ones, and I flipped a 10 less this time. Let me draw a representation of what that would look like. 600s, no leftover 10s, and then 9 ones. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, but now I need to do 10 less. This one's a tricky one because I don't have 10 here. So what I'll have to do, and let me just build this up with base 10 blocks so you can see how it looks concretely, even though you might not have base 10 materials handy. 3, 4, 5, 600, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay. All right, now if this was 609, and I need to do 10 less than that, I'm really going to have to take 10 off of here. What might be helpful is if I don't think about it as one pack of 100, but I instead think about it as a pack of 10 tens. Because 10 tens is the same as 100. So it's still 100. But now, if I'm seeing my 100 as 10 tens, let me just double check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oop, I knew I was missing one. 10 tens. The same as 100. Now I can do 10 less than 100. If I take 10 off of 100, that's going to leave me with 90. So I would have 699. And I can show that in my representation by taking one of these hundreds and stretching it out and showing that instead of this 100, I'm going to do 10 tens. It's still 600 because 500 plus another 100 is 609. But if I take off the 10, I can see 599. So 10 less than 609 is 599. And you do want students to have experience with 10 more and 10 less that's right on the edge and would require you to change more than just that place. You do want them to have those experiences. That's important and it builds number sense. All right, let's just try another one. Okay, so now I have 470. And for 470, I'm going to flip and I have a one less. So let's see what we got going on here. 470, doing one less again. Okay, 400s. And then 70 would be 7 tens. And then there's 0 ones. So now I need to do one less than 70. So what might be helpful if you're doing one less than 70 is instead of thinking of this as one group of 10, you can think of it as 10 ones. Ten ones is the same as 110, so I still have 400, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70. I still have 470, but now it's easier just to take off that 1. And if I take 1 off of 10, that's going to leave me with 9, right? So that's 450, 69. So 1 less than 470 would be 469. Give you one more example of a challenge one, and then I feel like you'll have all of the information that you need to be able to start playing this game on your own. Oop. These are those cards that you can play with in the pool, so they're really slippery. Okay. My last number that I have as an example. Oh, this is a fun one. Remember how I told you I kept my tens in for a reason? Let's think about what this is. I have 10 in the tens place, so let me build this with my blocks. I have 4 hundreds. Okay. And I have 10 tens. Remember what we know about 10 tens? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 tens, 9 tens, 10 tens, and then 9 ones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so now that I have 4 hundreds and then 10 tens and 9 ones, what number would that be? This one will take a little bit for students to think about. If my 10 was in the ones place, I could group them to make a group of 10. If my 10 is in the tens place, I can group those 10 tens to make one group of 100. So now that I've grouped them up, if I have 4 hundreds, 10 tens, and 9 ones, I really have 509. That's fun. and I can either draw it as 4 hundreds and then 10 tens and 9 ones. Or if I wanted to, instead of drawing those 10 tens, I wanted to just draw it as 100, I can do that too, because 10 tens is the same as 100. Alright, so let's see how I'm going to change it. We're going to do flip, and I got 10 more. So if I have 509 and now I'm adding 10 to that, I have 500, 1 10 and 9 ones is 19, so that is 519. So this is an example of how you can play start change result with models at home to practice 1 more, 1 less, 10 more, and 10 less, which is a 2nd grade Virginia standard. I carefully selected these numbers to set it up and show you some of the hardest changes that you would have to do, where you would have to group or ungroup using place value. As students are playing, if they're randomly flipping, they won't encounter these as often, the tricky ones, but I wanted to show you so that you had a good idea of how to attack some of those more challenging ones. I hope that you guys can make this game work for you. 1 more, 1 less, 10 more, and 10 less are huge prerequisite skills for any kind of computation. So I really appreciate you guys watching my video. If you have any questions, let me know, and otherwise, happy practicing.